Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. This is a quick YouTube clip to explain how to approach your oracy work whilst in isolation doing online learning. This is for literacy in particular. Remember, all this literacy work can be done at home, and please again remember that we have 12 literacy outcomes and you are required to complete each one 3 times, so that's for 36 outcomes total. When it comes to writing, you need to make sure you do a plan and a draft before you create a good copy. This plan and draft can be emailed to a teacher, then you need to wait for some feedback before you make the appropriate changes to turn it into a good copy. A reminder, there's different requirements at each specific level. At foundation, you're required to write between 150 and 200 words. For intermediate, between 300 and 400 words, and senior between 500 and 600 words. For your reading tasks, a reminder again, different requirements for each level. At foundation, you are required to complete 1 reading sheet, intermediate 2, and senior 3. For these reading sheets, they can be emailed if you've downloaded them off Compass, and you can just email the digital copy through, or you can take a photo of them and then email them through to one of the teachers. The reading sheets are here. Okay. It requires you to tell me what your name is, what the title of the piece is, the date in which it was published. If you can't find that, put the date you've read it, the author, and the publication. For the publication, make sure you do include the URL if that's what you need to include. Then you tell me what the purpose of the piece was. So it's there to convince us that, global warming is real or something like that. Our inferred purpose is reading between the lines. What is it trying to tell us? So I might tell everybody that the front row of students are working really well. My inferred purpose is that those people in the back row need to start doing their work. What do other texts say? This would be, if you're doing intermediate or senior, then you need to tell us what the other text that you've read, that you've also done a reading sheet for, says. You might be able to look at what the purpose of that other piece is. On the back, we have a critique. How good was it at achieving its purpose and why? Make sure you do explain that. And comprehension. How was the purpose achieved? So, for instance, they might have used statistics, or they might have used an expert opinion or something like that. How did they actually achieve their purpose? After that, we have ideas which are identified. These ideas refer to the main points that the person's trying to get across in their piece of writing. If you're reading a Wikipedia piece, for instance, an idea is generally categorized by the subheading. If they're not, though, it's just a general idea that you could group something as. So, for instance, it could be the history, it could be the current situation, whatever it might be. For each of those ideas, you need to put an example of how they achieved that idea. That would be a quote from it. So, for instance, if it was the history of, the Holden Commodore or something like that, you could have a quote that says the Commodore was first released in this year, whatever it is. When it comes to your oracy sheets, you need to make, your oracy tasks, you need to make sure you record the speech that you have created to send that through, again, via email. The oracy sheet is required as well. I'll talk you through that in a sec, but there is a listening section to that. You normally have to listen to somebody else's speech. In this case, you need to listen to something that you do here. So it could be watching a segment of the news and do it for that, or it might be you watching a YouTube clip. If that's the case, just make sure you put the URL down or write down when the segment was on the news so that we are aware of it. So when it comes to the oracy sheet, we have this. Who is your audience? That is specifically who you are speaking to. Why would they be interested in the topic? So what do you think they might get out of it? What is the purpose of your speech? This should be maybe to inform us of something, or to teach us how to do something, or whatever you think it is. What are we as the audience going to know after this? That will be specific for your speech. It's entirely up to you. What type of language are you going to use here? Could it be informative, persuasive? Could it be angry, happy, sad? Again, it's up to you. How will you do so? So you might change from angry to happy. How will you do that? And give us an example of that. So quote yourself here. After that, we have language use. How will you move from formal to informal? So, for instance, a lot of people will start formally by saying good afternoon, everybody, and then go informal by saying something such as, I really like the Essendon Bombers because. Again, you would provide an example and tell us why you did that. After that, how are you going to adjust for pace, tone, or emphasis when speaking? So, why are you going to speak quicker in some parts and slower in others? Why are you going to change your tone so you sound happy here and angry there? Why are you going to do that? For non-verbals, it's just asking you what other non-verbal features you could use to make your speech a bit more impressive, I guess. So, how did you use body movement, hand gestures, facial expressions, tone, etc. to get people involved? And how will they be used to influence your listeners? Could visuals support in aiding your communication process? So if you gave instructions, could you have pictures or a demonstration to show us how it went as well? After that, you need to reflect. How did you go? A reminder again, the listening section, you just need to do in reference to something that you have listened to. Beyond that, you need to know what the topics are that you are going to do. And a lot of you have planned this out at home, but there's more you can do. A reminder that you've got 4 outcomes which are duplicated 3 times for the writing, reading, and the oracy. They are self-expression. This is about you, something important to you, or something that's made you the person that you are. It could be you writing about family. It could be you writing about a key event that's happened in your life. It could be you writing about life in isolation if you really want to. After that, we have knowledge. This is simply an informative piece where you inform us about a specific topic. It might be about a football club. It might be about a specific musician or artist that you are interested in. It's just an informative piece, a history of whatever the topic is. After that, we got practical purposes. It could be, it's writing for a distinct purpose. You could write your resume or your cover letter or something like that. Or it could be how to do something. For instance, how to build a stud wall or how to change a tyre on a car or something like that. After that, we have public debate. This is known as exploring issues and problem solving for oracy alone, but it's still the same outcome. This requires you to explore a debate, something versus something else, Apple versus Android, Holden versus Ford, whatever you think. Or it could be a topical debate like we should end the lockdown or we should be going to school or something like that. The only issue you have in exploring issues and problem solving as the oracy task is that this does need to be done as a group. So if you can get a couple of people together, I would say 4 or 5 would be a minimum, get them to prepare on the same topic and let me know. I will set up a WebEx chat so that we can do that online and we can get that done. All right. Stay safe, guys. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me. Send an email to coombs.mitchell.j@edumail.vic.gov.au. Thank you. Bye.